Good morning, girls, and Assalamu alaikum. So, welcome to our second session on Jane Austen and Empire, which is an essay that was written by Edward Said in his 1993 book Culture and Imperialism. So, let me just recapitulate what we went through in the last class. So, I told you an introduction, a detailed intro about Edward Said, a Palestinian-born theorist, a professor, an exemplar of American multiculturalism. He was born and brought up there. He was influenced by thinkers like Fanon and Levi-Strauss. He calls himself a man who lived two separate lives because he had this American identity. At the same time, he was a critic of the American policies. And some of his major works, two of his most major works would be the 1978 Orientalism and the 1993 book Culture and Imperialism. Orientalism is important in the sense that it is considered the founding document or the founding statement of post-colonial studies. In a way, Edward Said is considered the father of post-colonial critical studies. Now, Culture and Imperialism is another important work which contains the essay that we are dealing with, that is Jane Austen and Empire. And basically in the book, he argues that the 19th and 20th century writers, the British writers, basically, they were speaking for colonization, or they were legitimizing colonialism as such. So these were some of his major works we had to know. Next, I told you a short summary of Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. Jane Austen, a very popular Victorian writer. Now, the Mansfield Park was another great romance novel of Jane Austen, and it had a very happy ending, a typical Jane Austen novel, but it was different in the sense the protagonist or the main character, Fanny Price, was very portrayed as very simple and very down-to-earth character. It has the common drama of falling in love and marriage, etc. But the only difference was that she was born to a very poor, impoverished home in Portsmouth, and from there her parents, because of the overburdened family, or what can we say, she had many siblings, so they sent her to live with her aunt and uncle in Mansfield Park. And her uncle is Sir Thomas Bertram. So what we are concerned with in the critical aspect of post-colonial aspect, or when we read the novel through a post-colonial lens, what Said argues is that Sir Thomas Bertram was a plantation owner. He had many slaves in Antigua, an island in West Indies. And then I told you about what comes in the essay, the major points that you have to know, that Edward Said puts forward in the essay. Main perspectives on Mansfield Park, colonial mode of life, the interplay between rural and urban places. And Antigua represents the colonies, and Mansfield Park, it represents the British Empire. Sir Thomas is portrayed as an archetypal. So Sir Thomas Bertram is the archetypal good master, exploiting the slaves. At the same time, he is using the profit he gets there to run his countryside mansion. So Said is kind of criticizing how Mansfield Park is the Western's cultural, how they are portraying materialism, how they are portraying slavery and the benefits of slavery in a very casual way, like it's very normal kind of a thing. So Jane Austen, through the novel, she is also giving such a outlook. That is what Edward Said is arguing. And then we also saw how Austen has failed to mention or give focus to the estate of Mansfield Park. That is because she did not focus on the she did not focus on the plantation there. She was focusing on the lives of the characters who were living in Mansfield Park. And the life actually in Mansfield Park is made possible only through the slave labor in Antigua. And the important instance that you have to know, that with that line we had actually come to the end of last class, and that was how Fanny is asking Sir Thomas about her uncle. She's asking her uncle about the slave trade, and there was a dead silence. So it shows how both the worlds are not connected. So today's class will be moving forward a few more points from the essay, and then I'll be telling you about the criticisms that were leveled against Edward Said and his essay. Okay, girls, so continuing, we have a few more points from the essay. So Edward Said he says that he actually uses another writer's essay here, that is the essay The Country and the City by Raymond Williams, in which basically Raymond Williams is trying to show the interplay between the rural and urban places, how from the rural places the benefit actually is used for the advancement of the urban places. So it actually shows the relationship between England and her colonies. So Edward Said basically argues throughout his essay using Raymond Williams' work The Country and the City. You have to note the name of the work here. He appreciates Austen's portrayal of British life, and he says that she has portrayed it beautifully, giving the right emphasis to all the factors. But at the same time, Edward Said argues that readers must be aware of the political implications of the British life. Another comparison we find here, earlier last class I told you how Antigua represents the colonies, and Mansfield Park represents the British Empire. Now Said is putting forth another argument that Antigua is a bit like Fanny's native Portsmouth, because Portsmouth being like Antigua, it has provided the manors or Mansfield Park with Fanny's service. So Fanny, as a product of Portsmouth, she has been moved or shifted to Mansfield Park, where they are getting the benefits of Fanny's service. So Antigua is a bit like Fanny's Portsmouth, because Antigua provides Mansfield Park with material goods. We all know that. We told in the last class how Antigua is giving the benefits, the material goods, the profits with which Mansfield Park is run. And these goods along with Fanny's service. Now Fanny's service is provided from Fanny, who is a product of Portsmouth. So both of these are needed to maintain the lifestyle and the values of Mansfield Park. Now we have the the British values. We see that British values could be disregarded abroad. That is, outside of Mansfield Park, they don't need to keep up these values. Within the Mansfield Park or within their house, they have these values of being good and all. But outside, when they go to the plantation or when they go to Antigua, there they are practicing all sorts of exploitation. So in order for these values to flourish in Mansfield Park, they are disregarding these values of goodness outside Mansfield Park, that is in the plantation. Okay, so that is what happened with the British colonial rule also. The Britishers as such, they thought they were such good people. They were bringing civilization, like we have in Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, the implication that the Britishers came to India with the sole purpose of the Britishers in Heart of Darkness, it is Britishers coming to Congo, the place in Africa, the very uncivilized barbaric people, and how the Britishers are coming there to civilize them, to make them better individuals. So they are portraying themselves as being very good and all. So they have these values, but when it comes to the colony, or when it comes to the place there, they are actually looting them, they are actually exploiting them, they are actually taking back what all they can from this homeland, from this colonies. Like when the Britishers came to India, they took back all these wealth, they took back all the material wealth, mineral wealth we had, the spices we had. They even took our Kohinoor. So you can imagine the extent to which they had actually looted us, and they were portraying themselves to be coming here to civilize and to make India a better country, a developed country. India was very underdeveloped, so India had to be developed. They were trying to bring India back to development, etc., etc. So these British values actually are disregarded when it comes to this exploitation and looting. So that is what is signified in that last point. I'll read it again. The British values could be disregarded abroad, that is in the colonies. This was necessary to the exploitation. To exploit a colony, they had to disregard these values, which in turn made the flourishing of those values possible in their homeland. Okay, so these are okay, girls. So moving on to the criticisms, we have a few criticisms that were leveled against Edward Said and his work, Jane Austen and Empire. The first and foremost criticism we had that was leveled against Edward Said was based on his argument on Williams was based on the fact that Edward Said had founded his complete argument based on Raymond Williams' book The Country and the City, in which they show the interplay between the urban and rural places. Now the argument here is that The Country and the City was actually a work which analyzes 16th century England, so to speak. So it is a bit outdated and it's no longer accurate in the sense when you analyze 16th century England, the concept then and the concept now is quite different, right? So when Edward Said is basing his complete argument on this, the text The Country and the City, it analyzes 16th century England. So that is not how actually England is truly hanging up its political and economical systems. The interplay between rural and urban places is not like that right now in the sense when Said had written his essay. So when you base your argument on something, or when you use some tool, when in theory you say you use a tool to analyze something, when you use a tool, it has to be up to date, it has to be accurate. But Raymond Williams' text, the Country and the City, is a bit outdated, so it's no longer accurate and cannot be used here. So that is the first criticism that was leveled against Edward Said. Now the second criticism we have that is leveled against Edward Said is that you remember the novel Mansfield Park, in which I spoke of the instance when Fanny asks Sir Thomas Bertram about slave trade and a dead silence that follows. So Said had based his argument on that one incident in the novel, saying that dead silence indicates that the slave trade is something that should not be spoken about. It's a very taboo subject. It's a hush-hush thing to talk about. It is something that is suppressed. They are trying to hide the colonial discourse, etc. But some critics argue that the silence could also show a guilty conscience. See, a guilty conscience on the side of Sir Thomas Bertram, that he knew what was happening was wrong, so it should not be treated very lightly. It is not something that you discuss with a teenager. So Fanny is only a girl staying in his house. So when Fanny is asking him about very serious matters, there's no need to discuss it, because it's something that needs a very important analysis, and it's something that he is very guilty about. So that is another interpretation for that dead silence. So it's not like Said had argued. So that is the second criticism that is leveled against Edward Said. Now the third criticism we have is that the characters that are indifferent to slavery are portrayed as ridiculous and dislikable. Said fails to grasp this concept, or this thing that Jane Austen has used. So in the novel we have, when Fanny is asking about the slave trade, we have the other characters who are very indifferent to slavery, the other cousins who are very casual about it. They think it's not such a big issue. So such characters are portrayed as antagonist, or a very ridiculous or a very bad person there. So Jane Austen has purposefully used that technique to show how she does not like or how she disapproves of slavery. But this thing has been Edward Said has failed to grasp this concept. He has not analyzed this, or he has not spoken about this concept in his essay. Now, the last thing you have to know is that Said has been criticized for overlooking the gender dimension of colonial writing. It's a very important aspect here. That is, women as such were in the forefront in abolitionist campaigns. So in the novel also you have Fanny being a very strong girl, questioning her uncle about the slave trade. So Said has overlooked all these concepts. He has spoken of the dead silence, but he has not spoken of the fact that Fanny, as a girl, she was the one who asked about the slave trade to her uncle. So the gender dimension, how the female characters, or how the concept of gender is important there in colonial writing, in the sense that women were basically in the forefront of abolitionist campaign. Abolitionist means abolishing of slavery. Like Jane Austen was also, as a writer, as an author, she was in the forefront of abolitionist campaigns. So all these factors were overlooked by Said, and he has been criticized for that. So when you analyze a concept or when you analyze a work, you have to look at it from all angles. So this is one angle that Said had not looked. So he has basically overlooked this gender dimension, this significance of the female characters, and Jane Austen as a female author. Fanny's concern for the slave trade is one such example. So it actually mirrors the author's concern. It actually shows the author's concern is shown through the main character, Fanny. So thank you, girls. So this is all we have on Jane Austen and Empire. I hope this was a fruitful session. I hope you could all understand it very well. So some major points about the author, some major things to know about the novel, some important facts you have to know, the points that are discussed in the essay Jane Austen and Empire, and a few criticisms also. You should not leave that out. Every essay might have some criticisms that were leveled against it, so you have to look at it also. So some of the criticisms that were leveled against Edward Said and his essay. So thank you all for your time and patience, and thank you, girls.